And what's your verdict on what you saw this evening?
So I saw now a couple of 0-0s against Chelsea, obviously, in the last 1.5 years. Last year, the two finals were two of the best games I ever saw, to be honest, without scoring. Both games had to be decided in a penalty shootout, but the games were incredible, tactical high level, both teams firing, really not missing chances, great goalkeeper saves, all these kind of things. Tonight was different. So two teams on a low confidence level, but both put in a proper fight. And for us, that is for tonight, it is okay. So we cannot make 6 changes and then expecting the best game of the season. We have to. What I expected was proper effort, proper super attitude, super mentality, and that's what I saw. So yeah, they had chances, we had chances, especially before half time. In an ideal world, you use one of them, and then again, let's have a look how the game changed then. But we didn't, and so we had to fight until the end. They had to fight until the end. It was a super intense game. But not the most spectacular game, obviously. But for us, it's a step, and for the moment, I'm okay with that.
You say it's a step. You said, I'm looking for a reaction after the weekend. Did you get it?
Yeah. What kind of reaction do I want? I know. People say, okay, now we have to play best football ever. But the reaction is always, it must always be attitude, must always be. I saw a lot of great challenges. I saw people flying in, blocking balls, stuff like this. That's what you need. We changed 3 times in the last line. We saw that in the beginning was not really tuned when they played the balls in behind. But midfield, now the 3 of them didn't play that often together. But I liked the link up there. To be honest, that was absolutely okay. Up front, Jogo did really well. Darwin was there until the power was there. Bobby showed in moments again how good he is. So that's fine. That's what we have to build on. Again, we cannot, if somebody expects now miracles and we're just back on track and playing our best football, we want to go there. But if things don't go your way, you have to fight through this and make steps, and sometimes smaller ones, sometimes bigger ones, and tonight it was a smaller one. So now we have 2 days more time to prepare the next game. It will be a tough one against Arsenal, flying Arsenal. But this is a game we can build on, and that's what we will do.
You say it's a small step, but and a very, very important step.
Absolutely, absolutely. Imagine, we wouldn't have shown a reaction tonight. We wouldn't have got anything tonight. That would be playing really good and not getting anything would have been a massive blow. But it was a okay performance, and we got a point for it. From a passion point of view, attitude point of view, I really liked the game. But of course, we can play better. But that's now not about always, even when we do something positive, we find a negative in it. That makes no sense for development. We have to be ready for these kind of games as well, and then we will go again and play better. These boys are still really good footballers, and tonight they put in a proper shift, and I'm happy with that.
Michael and Glenn were talking about a few positives for Chelsea before the break. For Liverpool, we mentioned the 6 changes. We heard Jurgen Klopp demand freshness and a reaction. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool didn't play bad at all. It's just the standard of what we've seen of Liverpool of the last half dozen years plus has been quite staggering. So you're always using that as a barometer in many ways. But they played fine. They conceded a couple of chances, and Chelsea will be disappointed they didn't score. But they also created a couple of chances themselves, brought a few fresh faces, fresh legs in. So they've rested a couple of their star players that might be back for the big game against Arsenal at the weekend. So there was positives to take. But as I say, I just go back to it and think, the standards that Liverpool have set themselves over the last few years are quite incredible. So they've not reached those standards again tonight. But this is going to be a bit of a building process to get back to where they were.
Did you see a little bit more intensity from them, Glenn?
No, I saw a team trying hard. I saw a team with energy, but I didn't see enough class on the ball. They're a side that can play through the pitch. I didn't see a team I didn't see Liverpool keep the ball for 5, 6, 7 passes. And when you keep that and you have that sort of possession, that's when you get in good positive positions to slide people like Núñez in, like we said at half-time when Jota missed a couple of opportunities. They never really did that consistently. And that's Liverpool at their best. When they're shifting the ball, they never really had hold of the ball for me. They never had to dictate the play and have a flow. That's when I said when they looked disjointed tonight. And they've looked like that for some time. And I think that's off the back of not winning the ball back as well as they've been over the last 4 or 5 years. The pressing that they had together. There's different personnel now. And that's where a manager has to rebuild things. It's not just players come in and it's what they're going to do with the ball. Are they good defenders? Are they good creators or good finishers? It's also blending them as to what the manager wants from them as a team. And they're way off where they were.
Yeah, I think there's so many different theories, and we've spoken about them before in the Liverpool team, but if you ask me for one thing that they don't do as well, yes, you can talk about injuries, yes, fans will complain about ownership, and some about manager, and some about players, and some about an age in midfield, and some about all different kinds, but if I had one thing that I said is different now, it's exactly that. They don't press like they used to. That Mane, Salah, Firmino trio, they used to nick virtually every ball. You never even had there was no pressure ever on the centre halves because they were so good up that top end of the pitch. Now every single aspect of the team is exposed because they just don't win the ball high anymore. And I think that's the one big change of anything where Liverpool are struggling at the moment.
And consequently, that's why they shifted so high up the pitch.
Yeah.
Their back four was closer than any other team to the halfway line. Holding that line, because there was immense pressure on the ball. You had to be an absolute superb passer of the ball to open that back four up. And that's what it was like. Now it's a different story. You get time on the ball in midfield against them. And you see that, that was a new back four tonight. It was a bit disjointed a little bit, wasn't it? Van Dijk was injured and he's made the two full-backs not playing. They actually had to be a little bit deeper. And consequently, they were more difficult to get through. If they'd have played a higher line tonight, they would have been in all sorts of trouble. But they played a lot deeper and they actually track players when they run. So they got away with it. They got the clean sheet.
And as Michael said, they did offer Chelsea chances, particularly at the start of the game. And as you said, the frustration yet again is that Chelsea can't take them.
But from Chelsea's point of view, this has been the pattern of their season. They break here. Look, this is great play from Felix. Look, great feet there. Now hit it with your left foot. He's tried to run round it. I don't understand that. He's penalty spot, hit it with your left foot. It might not be his favoured one, but he's still good enough on his left. There's Conte doing what I think he should be doing, winning the ball, passing it simple. They're breaking again. There's a great opportunity there for Kovacic. He's not a natural finisher. Hit it then. Hit it. Don't give the keeper or a defender any chance to get back on the line.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful ball by Koulibaly. And I think, all the Chelsea players did what they could do there. I think it was just a great move and a great save. This is a big chance early on in the second half. Big chance. Probably falls to the wrong player. Maybe Kovacic, not renowned as an amazing finisher. Maybe if that was Havertz, then it would have been a different story. But that was a big chance.
Well, talking to Havertz, he did have the ball in the net early in that second half, but rightly, because it hit his hand. We know the rule. It resulted in a goal. It was disallowed.
Yeah, I think the guys on commentary and us really at the beginning, we didn't see it, and this is where VAR is working at its best. We didn't see this. We just think, it's come off his mid-drift or wherever. But as we see in slow motion, and this is why VAR's been brought in, it's come off his elbow, bang, in the back of the net, and it's the right decision.
Yeah.
It's come off the hard part of his elbow as well and gone in. So, yeah, VAR's made a good decision there for once.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. And you could quite clearly see from that last angle, that was the best angle of it, quite clearly see the hard part of his elbow, knocked it in the goal, and VAR chalked another one off because there was one in the first half as well.
Absolutely. Let's hear from the man who thought he'd scored but hadn't. Here is Kai Havertz.
What has it been like for the players since Graham Potter was relieved of his duties?
I mean, it's tough, I think as expected always when a manager leaves the club. It's not easy because, it's our job normally to win games, and at the end when the manager got the sack, we are all in the same boat, and we also have to take responsibility for that. But I mean, now we have to accept how it is. I mean, it's not nice, but we have to be professional at the end and have to accept the situation.
Your players, it's out of your hands, but how much do you need a permanent manager in charge as soon as possible? For instance, you've got a huge game coming up against Real Madrid.
I mean, I think I have to say, first of all, it's really nice, and I have to respect Bruno and Björn, all the coaching staff, to stand in front of the team when their manager got the sack. So I think everyone, the whole Chelsea club, have to respect the guys that they are standing there first of all. But now, it's not our job to think about who's coming. The owners at the end have to decide that. We have to do the job on the pitch. But of course, when you have a manager long term, it's easier, for us players as well. And it's not nice because, as I said, we have to take responsibility for all that, what's going on at the club. We have the faces out there. Everyone sees us. And, as I said, we are very frustrated to see Graham go, but have to accept the situation.
Do you also, as players, not focus too much or mustn't focus too much on the Real Madrid game in that you've got to get your league form right, get yourselves going?
Yeah, of course. I mean, still there are 9 games to play in the league, and Chelsea doesn't deserve to be, I think, 11th or 10th. I don't know exactly what we are. It's simply not nice to be there, but at the end, we all have to stick together, and also the fans. Of course, it's not nice, but you have to think we're also in quarterfinal in the Champions League and have to get as much confidence as possible in the upcoming game. And everyone has now to accept it's not easy for every one of us, but us player on the pitch, we need the fans as well. And we're all in the same boat. We are in the last 8 of the best teams in Europe. Of course, it's not nice in the league, but we all have to stick together.
Kyle, we appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you.
What do you make of what he was saying there? I mean, do players always look for that stability of permanent managers and a bit of planning?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's comforting when you've got a manager that you like, that you respect, that you want to, get good results for. That's what we all search for, I think. Listen, there'll be some people that are not in the team that may be thinking, well, it probably helps me now if there's a change of manager, fresh start, etc., etc. But in general, I think players like the stability of a manager and everything going smoothly. Not
many get to play under 3 different ones in one season of the size of that club, do they?
No, they don't. But it's been a pattern, isn't it? I mean, that's quite ridiculous what we're talking about, but it has been a pattern for Chelsea. They hire and they fire, but there's trophies coming left, right, and centre over the last 20 years. So it is a pattern of the club. Like the fans, people behind the scenes, they know about it. It's not new.
Everyone thought that this ownership would be different, Glenn.
Well, they tried to be different, Steve. This is where I think they were patient. As Michael said at the beginning of the show, he said, there was a time a month ago where he thought he might get the sack, but they were trying to get him to turn the corner. And I think the Dortmund result over the 2 legs was, there's a stepping stone for that. Now the league, if the results start going, if Chelsea was 7th now in the league and they'd won a few games, and I think Graham would have been kept for next season and for a longer term scenario. They've brought in good youngsters, have paid money, but they're looking for the future. And I think they wanted Graham for the future. They could see that what he did at Brighton, what he did at other clubs, he was our man for that project, if you like. I don't like using that word project, but that's the long-term scenario for Chelsea. But then it comes a time when it went the other way. They weren't beating the teams they should have beaten, particularly at the Bridge as well. And I think that's when, in the end, they've gone, maybe we've got to make a decision here. They've got a massive, massive game against Real Madrid. You would hope and feel that they've got a manager almost lined up to come in that's going to really give them that bounce. And who knows, football never ceases to amaze you. They could knock Real Madrid out. Real Madrid won it. They're the holders. It's very hard to defend your trophy. You could come unstuck against Chelsea. That could be the turning point for Chelsea Football Club this season.
Well, that's what the fans are hoping. Let's go back to the Bridge and talk to Glenn Johnson, just as we did pre-match. Fascinating conversation, really, Glenn, and what Kai Havertz. Would you want that now? Would you, if you were in that current Chelsea dressing room, a bit of stability, know who's coming in to move forward?
Yeah, well, of course. We all know the uncertainty at the club at the moment, and there's a lot of new faces, certainly with the players and with ownership. So, yeah, as a player, you always want to, put the effort into training and obviously win football matches, but you can't always turn a blind eye to what's going on outside. So the players can only control what they can control. But for me, I think they need to sort of steady the ship a little bit, try and get someone in as soon as possible, without rushing the decision, obviously. But like you say, you've got some big games coming up, and they're going to have to stick together to try and get through it.
Has it been almost too many things new at Chelsea in the last 12 months? Owners, loads of players, managers.
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about. Literally, they're building from the ground up again. When we all know that the Chelsea managerial seat has probably been the hottest seat in world football for a long time under the previous ownership, you would have thought that the new owners would have come in and done something slightly different, but they seem to follow suit at the moment. So, results changes this game quicker than ever nowadays. So, hopefully the owners have got a game plan, plan B. And then they can settle the players down. You got, like you say, you got a lot of faces there with the players that haven't had time to settle in, and maybe just as when they were, now the managerial staff's changing. So there's a lot of dust that needs to settle.
And as I said earlier, the reports this evening from Germany suggesting Julian Nagelsmann's representative has said that talks are progressing positively with Chelsea. Is he somebody, obviously just lost his job at Bayern Munich, that you would see as a fit for Chelsea at the moment?
Well, yeah, obviously he's a fantastic manager and works with, really big names in a massive club. So for me, you need a manager that's been through that. You need a manager that's going to be, that's been fighting for titles, going deep into Champions League and working with world-class players. Because, there's a lot of good managers out there, but they're good at other things. So for me, you need a manager that's been around good players, world-class players at the highest level, that's going to get these players' attention.
Glenn, me and Glenn were talking earlier about Chelsea actually potentially having too many players in that dressing room and very difficult to keep everybody happy. Do you see that as a problem for the new manager coming in as well?
Well, yeah, probably. Like you say, as players, everyone wants to play, and that just can't happen. So you're signing a lot of players for a lot of money, and a lot of them in similar positions and also have similar styles. So, like we say, they can't all play. The manager's going to, probably want to get a few people out. And it, goes back to the question. It's a bit late now, but whether Graham was signing all these players or not would, be another interesting question. But yeah, a manager's going to come in. The first thing they have to do is get the players out that they don't want or don't see being part of their, their regime, and then try and build around the core of the team. Because for me, Chelsea and Liverpool, to be fair, have probably come away from that backbone. We've got a team. You've got 4 or 5 players that are the core of your team. For me, at the moment, Chelsea don't know what that is.
Really appreciate your thoughts tonight, Glenn. Good to talk to you again.
Cheers, guys.
Glenn Johnson at Stamford Bridge, who was watching the 0-0 draw tonight, which, of course, was the first game in temporary charge for Bruno Saltor.
Bruno, what is your verdict on your first game in charge of Chelsea?
I've asked the players to play with their heart, and I think we saw that on the pitch. They gave everything. We created chances. We left Liverpool without anything. I think we deserve to win.
On the balance of chances that you had?
Yes, obviously we scored twice, offside and a handball. We had 1v1s with Liverpool goalkeeper. I think it's a great performance from the boys. It's a good start for them after difficult days, really difficult days, emotional days. They've been capable to keep themselves, be focused, use their head and their heart as well, and it's credit to them.
It's a morale-boosting performance for Chelsea, but has that been Chelsea's problem for most of the season, simply not scoring enough goals?
It's always, you need to score to win. The football is that simple, and the ball is not getting into the net, and that's always a challenge. But what we need to do is just try to keep helping the players. It's a difficult, the human beings, and we need to try to keep helping them and guiding them.
How much help then was having N'Golo Kante back tonight? How would you sum up his performance after so long out and the ground that he covered?
It's outstanding. It's like what he brings to the team in terms of football and what he brings to the team in terms of leadership is outstanding, and obviously is a massive plus for the team.
Where do we go from here for you personally over the next days? As it stands, do you expect to be in charge for the next league game at the weekend?
I expect going home now, rest, and just go day by day. I think it's what we're trying to do, the staff, everyone, is try to go day by day, try to be the most professional we can, try to help the club, try to represent the best we can. And as I said, it's a difficult situation, but I think everyone is dealing the best that we can.
Having seen the performance you got from the players tonight, they responded to you as the interim coach and the result this evening. Would you feel happier and more confident if you're asked to take the game at the weekend? The first one's out of the way.
The only thing that I can say that I'm happy with a performance for them, because that's what they deserve. It's credit to them. It's not credit to me. It's going through a season, a really difficult season for them, to be able to come back from news that's the same that the news that we had the last few days. It's incredible. It shows that they're able to focus on the moment, they're able to focus on the next game, on performing well, and they have to be proud about themselves.
Right, I promise you, this is the last one. So, on a day-by-day basis, how many days do you need to prepare for a game? If you say to the bosses, look, okay, tell me at least 2 days, I'm in charge.
I'm not going to say anything to the bosses. Yeah, I mean, probably they will tell me to me. As I said, it's a difficult one. I need to just relax, calm, assess the game, assess the boys, where they are, and as I said, I know it sounds boring, but it's a day by day. It's a day-by-day job. It's trying to help the boys, trying to help the staff, because sometimes we forget about the staff. It's everyone. We need to stick together. There are so many new faces, and it's about knowing ourselves, and as I said, day by day.
Thank you, Bruno. Well done tonight.
Thank you so much.
Day by day for Bruno Saltor, who's the third Chelsea manager this season to talk about the lack of goals. 29 of them in 29 league games. Kai Havertz is the top scorer with 7. It's the lowest league total of goals at this stage of a season for Chelsea since 1923-24 season. How do they fix that in the short term?
Well, they do need I think everyone says they do need a number 9. They need a goal scorer. But I tell you what, whoever comes in as a new manager for this squad, normally you say a new manager comes in, he's going to want to bring some of his own players in. I think he only needs a number 9. I think everything's there.
Well, Nkunku's coming. He's not really a number 9, but he's an offensive player.
But you need someone, I think, that you think is going to score 20 goals for you. They need a fox in the box. They need someone that wants to be and play in that area where they're creating so much. But that's the only player I think they need. They've got everything else. The important thing is once they move out is important, so that they can have a more balanced squad.
Lukaku's coming back, remember, under contract.
Yeah, exactly. They've got so many players. It needs to be. That's what you use your energy for. But normally, you've got any manager going in there and say, "Well, we've got no quality. I need to bring in 5 players with quality." No, they're already there. You've got goalkeepers, 2 goalkeepers. You've got the back players are strong enough and good enough. You got your midfield, decent. Might strengthen one there, maybe. If you keep Felix. You need the number 9. That's all you need as a new manager going into Chelsea, in my opinion.
To do what? Get in the top 4 or challenge?
Yeah, because I tell you what, 29 goals. I'd like to know how many clear and good chances over the season they have made. I bet it outnumbers most of the other teams, or it's up there with the top teams at the moment, the top 3 or 4 teams.
It's the conversion rate that's really...
conversion rate that is really hitting them, because they haven't... I'm looking at Havertz, and Havertz is not a number 9. He wants to float and he wants to drop off, and then there's no one go. That's okay. At Liverpool, at their very best, Firmino comes towards the ball. What was happening? Mane and Salah ended up as centre forwards, and they had it off to a tee. You know, to a certain degree, that happens with other teams we've seen in the past. You have a little striker that comes off towards the ball. You've got people arriving in the box, making runs from midfield. That balance just needs to be tweaked a bit, but at the moment, I think with Chelsea, what they've got in their quality of their players, they need a number 9. They need someone like him. They need someone who wants to go on the back and get in the box. Every cross that comes in, I'm going to be on the end of it. And if I've got a midfield man joining me as well, and the opposite winger coming in as well, then you've got a box threat. Too many times you don't see that for Chelsea. They're isolated. There's nobody in the box, or there's only one in the box.
Just to back up your point, 15th best conversion rate they've got in the Premier League.
Sums it up. And in theory, they should be right up the top in terms of conversion rates, because in theory they should have a better quality of player. That's what they pay for, to convert chances in the right way. But
isn't it not extraordinary? They spent £540 million in 2 windows.
And the most important place on the park, of course.
You said it.
But it is. It's the hardest thing to do. It's, and Chelsea are proving that. 29 goals in 29 games,
Yeah.
is that? I mean... It's
astonishing.
Really, really poor. That's relegation stuff, isn't it? I mean, I guess some of the teams in the bottom half would be on a similar number, and probably even better than that. Really, really poor for the quality of players and the money they've spent. How they've spent all that money and not got someone that can score a goal is quite staggering.
And they've got creators there, see? If you're a striker coming in that club and you fancy your chances, you're saying, oh, yeah, I've got players around me that can create for me. I'll stick it in the back of the net for you. I don't know who it could be, but
Osherman?
Well, without a doubt, he's number one. But, I mean, there's a few clubs going to be on. But you put him in a Chelsea shirt, that fella will score a load of goals, a bag full of goals. So maybe, like we're saying, what they've spent, they might have just said, well, we don't need that. Let's go and get him for extraordinary money. And that's the end of the jigsaw.
And it has been a problem for some time. I remember a season or two ago, their top goal scorer was
Jorginho,
he was taking all the penalties.
Yeah.
7 goals and all penalties. And that's Chelsea's top goal scorer in 38 games.
And you think, really, since Diego Costa and before him, Drogba, it's been a historical problem?
It has been Listen, historically, actually, it's been a real difficult position for Chelsea. Drogba hit it off, and he was amazing. You could say Costa was successful.
But then
we've gone through some of the greats.
Maratas and
some of the greats, the Torres, loads of great players, Crespos, and all kinds of great players. Was it Mata? There was the Romanian. It was. There's been so many, and it's been a real difficult position. But it is certainly a position that they need to. If you're going to invest big money, then that's the position you invest it in. Go and get one of the world's best.
Well, they have done. I mean, Lukaku, Morata, they were 85 million pound players, just haven't worked, have they?
No.
So
for whatever reason, that hasn't worked. Maybe them players individually need a manager that really gives them a little arm around the shoulder, is consistent and is there with them all the time. But there's been a lot of changes through the management, and players they're human beings at the end of the day. They want that little bit of connection with the manager, and they want that manager to believe in them. Perhaps Lukaku, perhaps a few of them haven't had that. And the way a style of a team, Tuchel for me, I still, let's go back to that. Well, what shocked me more, there's a lot of managers being sacked, what shocked me more than anything was Tuchel. Tuchel being sacked was a poor decision. I'm sorry, but it was for Chelsea Football Club. No doubt about it. What he did in a short period of time, and you've got to look at that. And then Champions League winner, he's come close to winning. You had the foundation there for real success, and now they're grasping for that by trying to go and buy a load of money. Give that money to Tuchel and go and buy what he wants to go and buy. Wow, that would have been an incredible. I mean, he might have got the best out of Aubameyang. Aubameyang goes there to work with Tuchel, and he's gone. So we don't know. We don't know yet whether, obviously that's hypothetical now, but he fancied working. I got the best out of him at Dortmund. I'll do it again. And that crumbled, that disappeared. So there was a lot of stumbling blocks really on this finisher that Chelsea.
Position maintenant. Alors que se passe-t-il? Le buteur Hakim Ziyech est resté au sol.